one of my from a lot of exposure to the records and the various aspects that I've looked at for villages and also for the bigger issues, how does my view of the home front change? How is it affected by the knowledge of the tribunal? I think the sheer scale of men's readiness to declare that they could not go into, or really find it very difficult to go into the armed forces, comes to light. Of the 11,200 and however many who went to the Northamptonshire Appeals Tribunal, that may represent 80 or 90,000 men who chose to go to their local tribunals across Northamptonshire. And only 1.5% of those pleaded conscience. So we're looking at a massive number of men. Quite possibly the majority of the working men who remained in Northampton at the beginning of 1916 went through some sort of tribunal procedure. Seems to me that requires us to rethink a little bit. These men did not succumb to the intense pressures of propaganda, or to the white feather movement, or to the gender language of the way in which men were persuaded or pushed to go into to enlist in the army. These declarations show that they maintained, against all of that pressure, all of those happenings in the war up to that point, that they maintained an idea of civilian masculinity. They would have rejected those feminine images of conscientious objectors as applying in any way to them. And they would stress again and again that their duty as men was to stay at home as loyal and needed employees and producers, farmers, shopkeepers, husbands, fathers, sons and brothers. Are they just playing to the gallery? I don't think so, taken in the big picture. I think we need to rethink a little bit the weight that has been placed on gender identity in relation to war service in World War I. This was not all about men only being men through military service. Alternative models of masculinity that date back into the Edwardian years and the late Victorian years can continue to apply. Sorry, two more points. Most of the men who went before the tribunals, particularly in 1916 and 1917, did end up in uniform. Many of them ended up, as Jim suggested, practicing their own trades in the support and in the support services of the war. You know, they were wheelwrights, they were looking after horses, they were butchers, they were bakers, but they were doing it in the army because older men who were rather unfit, less fit physically, tended to be put into that area. And we are led to believe by regimental histories and by those who spoke for the War Office and the government that conscripts made as good soldiers as volunteers, and that this whole divide between volunteers, those who'd volunteered, and those who were conscripted, really came to nothing once men were actually there in post in the army.